Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday, April 13th, 2026. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, China's called the U.S. Iran negotiations in Pakistan a step toward de-escalation and calls for the continuation of the ceasefire. The visiting Spanish Prime Minister has highlighted the value of research innovation during a stop at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing. The Chinese mainland's unveiled new policies to support exchanges and cooperation across the Taiwan Strait. In business, thousands of global brands are showing their wares at the ongoing China International Consumer Products Expo. In sports, China's hauled in some medals at the Archery World Cup. In culture and entertainment, China's online literature sector is booming. Now the day's top stories. China says the U.S. Iran negotiations in Pakistan are a step toward de-escalation. The foreign ministry said China hopes all sides will follow the ceasefire agreement and commit to resolving disputes through diplomatic means. A Chinese spokesperson called for efforts to avoid restarting the war and create conditions for restoring peace and tranquility in the Gulf region. Other countries also voiced support for peace talks. Leaders from Britain and Oman agreed that a continuation of the ceasefire is vital and all parties should avoid any further escalation. British Health Secretary Wes Streeting noted the importance of diplomatic efforts. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said he wants to see a resumption of peace talks between the United States and Iran and an end to the conflict in the Middle East. Regarding Israeli strikes on Lebanon, the European Union strongly condemned the action and stressed that diplomacy remains the only viable path to resolving the crisis. Iran's parliament speaker says the only way for the United States to find an exit from the current situation is to gain trust. Speaking after talks with the U.S. and Pakistan, Mohammad Bakr Kalibaf, who led the Iranian delegation, said they did not trust the Americans. He described the talks as intensive, serious, and challenging, and reported progress citing the negotiators' goodwill. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry said the country remains hopeful diplomacy can secure its national interests. President Masoud Pezeshkian also said Tehran's prepared to reach a balanced and fair agreement that ensures lasting peace and security in the region. Saper Saremi has more reactions from Tehran.
Direct talks between Tehran and Washington ended where they began in Islamabad. No agreement. Officials on both sides point to major differences following 21 hours of negotiations. The U.S. says Iran chose not to accept its terms, with the Iranian media saying U.S. demands were unreasonable and too rigid to allow progress. Despite the deadlock, Tehran says diplomacy is not over, adding that no one held any expectations that talks could reach an agreement in a single session.
Diplomacy never ends. Diplomacy is always a tool to secure and protect national interests, and diplomats must fulfill their duty in all circumstances, whether in peace or war.
But in Tehran, Iranians say they saw this outcome coming.
We have been hurt by America several times, and I was not optimistic about the negotiations. I have already witnessed their failure to keep their word, and their goal in negotiating is their own interest.
We were pessimistic about negotiations from the beginning. We negotiated with them several times, and each time we reached a deadlock. They will not accept our words in any way. Many times, even their own experts disagree with them. Negotiations were also an excuse to arm themselves and start a war.
Still, there is also concern about what comes next.
I am against war. I am 100% against it. They have come to our land, and war brings nothing but destruction of infrastructure and misery. It brings nothing but misfortune.
With positions still far apart, uncertainty remains over what direction things will go moving forward, or if the resumption of fighting could be just around the corner.
That was Saper Saremi with sentiments from Iran after weekend talks with the United States. U.S. media say President Donald Trump and his advisors are considering resuming limited strikes on Iran after peace talks with Tehran ended without a deal. He said the meeting in Islamabad went well, but the two sides did not reach an agreement on the crucial point of nuclear development. Trump has also announced that the U.S. Navy will begin blocking ships from entering or leaving the Strait of Hormuz. Walter Morris reports from Washington.
Trump said he expects Iran will return to the negotiating table, but no word on when that will happen. And he says it's all or nothing when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. Either every ship will be able to travel through the Strait of Hormuz safely, or none will. Sunday, Trump wrote on Truth Social, effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. He went on to say that no one who pays a, quote, illegal toll to Iran will have safe passage. About 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas travel through the strait. The waterway has essentially been closed since the conflict began, causing a global energy crisis. This weekend, U.S. Central Command announced that 2 Navy destroyers had entered the strait to begin clearing mines. However, a spokesperson for Iran's Joint Military Command denied those claims. Iranian state media reports that a U.S. military ship was forced to turn around while attempting to cross the strait. And Trump says the blockade in the strait will be similar to the U.S. blockade in Venezuela, but much larger.
That was Walter Morris reporting. Iran says all movements in the Strait of Hormuz are under control of the Iranian armed forces, warning that any wrong move will result in deadly consequences. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said only non-military vessels under specific regulations are allowed passage. It said military vessels approaching Hormuz under any pretext will be considered a ceasefire violation and will be dealt with severely. Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam says his government's committed to ending the war with Israel through negotiations, citing a ceasefire plan by President Joseph Aoun. He made the remarks in an address on the eve of the 51st anniversary of Lebanon's civil war.
فإننا مستمرون بجهودنا لوقف الحرب.
We will persist in our efforts to end the war, foremost among them the initiative presented by the President Joseph Aoun to negotiate a ceasefire and to enable the legitimate state institutions to fully carry out their role in protecting Lebanon and all its people.
Negotiations between Israel and Lebanon are set to begin in Washington on Tuesday. However, Hezbollah supporters and critics have protested in Beirut, arguing the government's too weak to act alone. Lebanon insists on a truce first, demanding Israeli withdrawal, prisoner releases, and the return of displaced civilians. The Lebanese government has been critical of Israeli strikes and Hezbollah's rocket launches in solidarity with Iran. Salam expressed empathy for all families affected by the war. Deep divisions over Hezbollah's weapons have raised fears of internal conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the war continues during a visit to southern Lebanon, where Israeli ground forces are fighting Hezbollah. He described Lebanese territory as a buffer zone, adding there's still work to be done. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said the military has launched a new operation to demolish homes along the border and will not withdraw unless Hezbollah stops rocket fire. Israel said it'll abide by the truce between the United States and Iran, but argues it does not apply to Lebanon, an assertion rejected by Iran and mediator Pakistan. Israel's attacks on Lebanon have displaced more than 1 million people over the past month. Authorities are struggling to cope with the surge, with many facilities ill-equipped to host refugees. Adel Al-Marouki has more from Beirut.
In a little over a month, more than 1 million Lebanese citizens have been displaced, a quarter of which are children. The UNHCR says Israeli attacks on Lebanon have left many facing a worsening humanitarian situation by the day. To accommodate the mass exodus, the government has turned many of its buildings into shelters.
Some people came here and after maybe they find some other place they feel it better. Some other don't find any place to it because the number of refugees is very, very big.
Some 1,500 citizens are seeking refuge here. 67-year-old Mahdi is one of them. His house is in the southern district of Beirut, the Hezbollah stronghold. The comfort his home brings is just minutes away from the stadium. He can't get near it. Instead, his family, including his spouse with a disability, have been struggling.
The government is stumbling. If they bring breakfast, we don't get lunch. And if we get lunch, there will be no dinner. It's midday, and no one brought us breakfast. They can't catch up with the demand. People are hungry and in dire conditions. No one knows when we're going back home. Everyone is on their phones, following the news, waiting to learn when they can go back.
As the stadium reached its maximum capacity, they've started building tents to accommodate more people, and they've laid the foundation in hopes to double the capacity as the number of displaced Lebanese citizens keeps growing.
Many believe that coping with the displacement is a form of resisting the Israeli occupation.
I have been displaced for years. They demolished my home. They erased my entire village. They bombed it. Nothing is left. Even the tombs, they dug them out. They are occupiers. We fight them to push them away from our country, and we will stay until the last drop of our blood is shed to prevent them from advancing into our country.
There are many more who now live on the streets, camping in tents, struggling to find basic services. Meanwhile, public servants strive to catch up with the immense demand they need to fill.
We have no working hours. We work all the time, day and night. We have no weekends because we are in a state of war. This is what makes the ministry's team special. Public servants are flexible to honor the humanitarian duty we do.
Half of Lebanon's public schools have been turned into shelters as the Israeli military advances further into the southern Lebanese territories.
That was Adel Al-Marouki on Lebanon's measures to provide shelter for the displaced. Coming up, the visiting Spanish Prime Minister has made a stop at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing.
You've been listening to programs from CGTN Radio.
CGTN Radio.
We invite you to visit us online for more audio, pictures, and in-depth reports. At radio.cgtn.com, you can access a wide range of programs and find your favorite news, talk, features, entertainment shows, and podcasts. Hear the difference with CGTN Radio.
12 minutes past the hour. Visiting Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has highlighted innovation among Spanish and Chinese research institutions to address global challenges. He stopped by the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing, where he's an honorary professor. Sanchez is paying his fourth official visit to China in as many years. The Prime Minister said cooperation strengthens science and pledged efforts to promote new joint research and support the exchange of talent. Dr. Georgina Curto-Rex at the United Nations University says China set an example of empowering inclusive development through innovation. She added it presents an opportunity for Spain and China to collaborate on high-tech innovation.
China has a huge cohort, a huge capacity of research and innovation. I'm working with a lot of different Chinese universities, and it's very impressive. And this innovation is used not only for the sake of it, but actually to generate inclusive economic development, which is an example throughout the world. So also as United Nations, I want to highlight that it's an opportunity for Spain and China to bring a new path towards innovation, high-tech innovation that benefits the big part of the population and change a little bit the rules of the game of AI innovation and high-tech innovation right now to benefit a big part of the population and to have AI and technology innovation with a purpose.
Well, meantime, the Secretary General of the Hispanic Association of Chinese Studies says a mutual understanding is the essential foundation for true cooperation between China and Spain.
China is present. So I think they realize the only way to understand and cooperate in the future and to build like a really understanding bridge between our countries is to understand each other. Everything we try to create, to produce, to manufacture, to sell, to buy, I think must be through the mutual understanding from both sides.
The Observer says he believes the Spanish Prime Minister's visit shows that the only way to engage with the world is to have friendly relations with China. China is Spain's largest trading partner outside the EU, while Spain is a key European partner for China. Goods trade exceeded $55 billion in 2025, and that was up nearly 10%. Last year, the two sides signed agreements on agriculture, technology, and education. Chinese investment in Spain is shifting toward green sectors. In November, battery giant CATL joined Stellantis in a groundbreaking ceremony for a lithium iron phosphate battery plant in Spain, with annual capacity of 50 gigawatt hours, a production set to begin by the end of the year. Interest in Spanish culture is growing in China, with flamenco at the forefront. Biran joined classes and spoke with dancers about cultural exchanges that are bringing Chinese audiences closer to Spain.
We are in Hangzhou, Zhejiang province, at a studio hosting a masterclass led by a special guest. Meet award-winning dancer Maria Hunga, who comes from one of Spain's flamenco families, making this art form not just a profession, but a legacy.
The flamenco means an expression and means something to say, and it was a scream from the soul. Always when I get the place and see that kind of things, for example, that kind of cielo, it makes me feel like, why? Because in the other side of the world, there are some people, many people, who is together around the flamenco, taking care about the flamenco.
I had to try it myself. Every step demands control. Every turn requires confidence.
I thought flamenco was just about beautiful dresses and fast food work. But after trying it myself, I found it was very physical and emotional. It is so much harder than it looks.
In China, more and more young women are becoming attracted to flamenco. For many, what starts as curiosity gradually becomes something far more profound.
The dance empowers women to express themselves. Through flamenco, they feel seen, heard, and confident. That growing appeal is part of a broader trend in China.
We decided to visit Cervantes Institute in Shanghai, Spain's official culture center for promoting Spanish language and culture abroad.
We believe Spanish language culture is very important in today's globalized world, and we think Chinese audiences are really interested in that. From more traditional expressions like flamenco from Spain to Latin rhythms like salsa, which is now also very popular in China, we aim to combine literature, music, flamenco, and discussions on current topics. Our team, made up of both Chinese and Spanish members, works closely together to better understand what audiences in Shanghai are interested in.
For all the Chinese people or for the Shanghainese people, flamenco is not that far away. It's kind of the way to express the emotion in flamenco is a little bit, contrarial. It's like opposite from Asian culture, but at the same time, the feelings, they are all connected.
For young people in China seeking an art form that feels both global and deeply personal, Spain's cultural community opens the door to a much wider world to explore, crossing borders, building cultural connections, and still speaking powerfully to people in China today.
That was Biran reporting on art as a form of expression for young people in China. More people in Spain have discovered the charm of Chinese culture through recent exchanges. Ken Brown visits a Chinese community in Madrid to witness the significance of the growing ties.
The Usera neighborhood on the south side of Madrid is the heart of the Chinese community, a living example of peaceful and prosperous coexistence and cooperation. The dragon is a cherished symbol of prosperity in Chinese culture, and this one here pays homage to the local Chinese community that has been enriching this barrio or neighborhood for over a quarter of a century. This giant 15 by 20 meter dragon is part of a new $12 million investment into the neighborhood. A spectacular stop on a 1.7 kilometer pedestrian route that features Chinese characters and Confucian phrases on the street, 290 new trees, 11,000 new plants, a brand new 500 kilogram marble panda, and an iconic paifang or gateway, reminiscent of the ones at the London and New York Chinatowns. The project received EU funding and won an Urban Transformation Award from Cátedra China in February, a Spanish organization set up to bolster Spain-China ties.
More than 40,000 Chinese people live in this neighborhood that has a unique and different identity, where two cultures coexist peacefully. That represents what Madrid is all about, an open and welcoming city.
But what do local people think?
It's beautiful, really original. It just looks great, brighten up the place.
They've done a really lovely job. They're modernizing the area, and the park for the kids is amazing.
Joint trade between the two economies was worth over $50 billion in 2025, and China's ambassador to Spain sees relations at an all-time high.
This is the best time as far as the relations between China and Spain are concerned. So I think that we are lucky to have a partner like Spain in Europe. We hope that the partners like Spain in Europe could be also increasing in the future time.
That was a report from the Chinese community in Madrid. Coming up, the Chinese mainland is taking steps to boost exchanges and cooperation across the Taiwan Strait.
Discover the realities and responses to our changing climate with Climate Watch. Uncover critical issues such as the Masai Mara's disrupted wildebeest migration and the drop in the Panama Canal's water levels. Delve into solutions for a sustainable future. Tune in to Climate Watch on your favorite podcast platform. Become more eco-conscious and take action to protect our planet.
At 21 past the hour, the Chinese mainland's unveiled policies and measures to boost exchanges and cooperation across the Taiwan Strait, as the Chinese Kuomintang Party chairperson Zhang Liwen led a delegation on a mainland visit. Professor of Taiwan Studies in Beijing says the new package will be instrumental in shaping the future of cross-strait relations. Huang Yue has details.
The mainland authorities have rolled out 10 new measures to enhance cross-strait engagement, placing particular emphasis on expanding people-to-people exchanges, increasing youth interaction, and establishing more regularized channels of communication. Key proposals include exploring more structured and consistent exchanges between the Communist Party of China and the Kuomintang, as well as developing institutional platforms to support greater participation by young people on both sides of the strait. A mainland expert says these initiatives could play an important role in shaping the future direction of cross-strait relations.
Two aspects stood out to me. First, the idea of establishing a regular communication mechanism between the CPC and the KMT. If realized, it would greatly help enhance mutual understanding and promote cross-strait exchanges and cooperation. Second, building institutionalized platforms for youth exchanges. As long as young people on both sides connect with each other, the future of cross-strait relations will be more promising.
Within the new measures, plans to resume individual travel for residents in Shanghai and Fujian to Taiwan have drawn particular attention from the tourism sector. Travel agencies believe the infrastructure is already in place, raising expectations for a gradual rebound of cross-strait tourism.
Currently, our Spring Airlines operates 8 flights from Shanghai every week, 5 to Taipei and 3 to Kaohsiung. Furthermore, we plan to add new routes from Ningbo in July. Resumption of this market is expected to directly and substantially boost local employment and the economy in Taiwan.
However, analysts caution that transforming these policies into concrete outcomes will not be straightforward. They say implementation could face resistance from Taiwan's Democratic Progressive Party authorities.
Although these measures will benefit people on both sides, especially Taiwan's tourism, agriculture, and fisheries sectors, the DPP authorities will resist them. So it will take time for these policies to be fully implemented and to truly deliver benefits. It will also require joint efforts from people on both sides to make that happen.
Zhang Liwen's visit marks the first time in a decade that the KMT chairperson has traveled to the mainland. She described the trip as rain after a long drought, expressing hope that the visit could usher in a mild and warm springtime in cross-strait ties. Amid the current global uncertainty, many believe the trip has sent a signal of peace and stability and a reminder that people on both sides across the Taiwan Strait have the wisdom and ability to deal with their own affairs.
That was Huang Yue reporting. Scholars, politicians, and Taiwan compatriots have welcomed remarks by CPC Central Committee General Secretary Xi Jinping on advancing cross-strait ties during his meeting with Cheng Li-wan. They highlight the benefits for the Taiwan region and win-win results from enhanced cooperation.
First, General Secretary Xi Jinping stresses that both sides should stand upright and proud as Chinese and approach winning people's hearts and minds. Secondly, he makes it clear that upholding the 1992 consensus and opposing Taiwan independence form the core of cross-strait peace, a non-negotiable bottom line. Thirdly, Xi welcomes Taiwan compatriots to pursue development on the mainland and Taiwan's agricultural and fishery products to enter the mainland market, sharing benefits and interests with people across the strait. Last, Xi points out that Taiwan's future lies in a strong and prosperous motherland, setting the direction for cross-strait development. These four interconnected points draw a firm red line while paving a promising path forward.
People on both sides share a deep sense of national kinship. We are brothers, and there is nothing we can't work out. I wish you well, and you wish me well. We should join hands and work together for the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. As I often say, with Taiwan, the mainland will be like a tiger with wings, and with the mainland, Taiwan's arena expands by hundreds or even thousands of times.
I believe the mainland provides a much larger stage for students from Taiwan, whether they want to study or work there. Promoting cross-strait exchanges will give young people in Taiwan a better and broader future. Personally, I hope such exchanges will bring more travel convenience for me, or maybe even opportunities to study or work on the mainland. Anything is possible.
The meeting was the first in 10 years between the leaders of the Communist Party of China and the Chinese Kuomintang. Hungary's opposition parties defeated Prime Minister Viktor Orban's ruling coalition in parliamentary elections, with nearly all votes counted. TISA won nearly 54% of the vote. Party leader Peter Magyar called it a decisive victory.
Thank you for believing that it can be done. Thank you for believing that we can change our fates. Thank you for believing that we ourselves, the Hungarian people, write our own history.
Orban has conceded defeat and congratulated the winners.
The election results are painful for us, but clear. We are not given the responsibility or the opportunity to govern. I congratulated the winning party.
The election results end Orban's 16 years in power. TISA campaigned on rule of law and repairing ties with the European Union. China's congratulated TISA on its victory. A foreign ministry spokesperson says China will work with the new Hungarian government to strengthen high-level exchanges, enhance political trust, expand cooperation, and increase cultural ties. China's Fengyun meteorological satellites have documented the disintegration of A23A, once the world's largest iceberg. The largest remaining fragment now measures just 11 kilometers long. A23A broke off from Antarctica in 1986, covering over 4,000 square kilometers. The breakup began accelerating in late 2022. By this month, the area had shrunk to just 35 square kilometers. Scientists used Fengyun 3 satellites to monitor its trajectory and collapse. Researchers also observed a greening of ocean waters around the iceberg, linked to phytoplankton blooms triggered by meltwater. The team says the findings will help future studies of polar ecosystems. The Artemis II astronauts have received a thunderous welcome in Texas a day after splashing down off San Diego. Hundreds of NASA staff cheered as the 4 crew members arrived near Houston's Johnson Space Center. Emotional Commander Reed Wiseman called the mission a dream, adding that being human and on Earth is special. The nearly 10-day mission set a record for deep space travel, going deeper than any previous moon explorers. The mission was the first of its kind since Apollo 17 back in 1972. We're at 29 past the hour. Beijing will see a light rain with a low of 9 degrees. Tuesday is cloudy and 21. Shanghai's getting some rainfall overnight and through tomorrow with a low of 14, a high of 19. Chongqing will see moderate rainfall and 18 overnight, then a light rain and 23. Nanchung's getting thunder showers overnight and through tomorrow. A low of 18 and a high of 22. Lhasa is overcast tonight and tomorrow, a low of +3, the high is 18. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will be cloudy and down to 15, then a high of 29 on Tuesday. Vientiane's down to 25 overnight, then sunny and 39. Phnom Penh's down to 24, then sunny and 38 degrees. In Africa, Nairobi's getting a light rainfall and 24 on Tuesday. Kampala will see moderate rainfall tonight and tomorrow, a low of 20 and a high of 26 degrees Celsius. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, China's called the U.S. Iran negotiations in Pakistan a step toward de-escalation and calls for the continuation of the ceasefire. The visiting Spanish Prime Minister has highlighted the value of research innovation during a stop at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing. The Chinese mainland's unveiled new policies to support exchanges and cooperation across the Taiwan Strait. Shane Begum with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
Listen up. Can you hear the heartbeat of our world? It's vibrant and pulsating with the essence of life itself. From the stem of trees to the gurgle of rivers. From the silent strength of mountains to the icy whispers of glaciers. Even the solid ground beneath our feet. Right there, in the midst of all, beats the heart of humanity. What if those other heartbeats were to stop? Would ours keep on ticking?
Ever wondered what's actually going on in Africa through the perspective of an African? How are things really going between China and Africa? What's the narrative of this relationship? Well, get a perspective with China-Africa Talk. Hear from African diplomats, entrepreneurs, academics, Chinese natives, and more. Get on our wavelength every week to find out what's real with China-Africa Talk. Find us on your favorite podcast. We'll see you there.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday. Still to come. In business, thousands of global brands are showing their wares at the ongoing China International Consumer Products Expo. In sports, China's hauled in some medals at the Archery World Cup. In culture and entertainment, China's online literature sector is booming. To contact us, you can email radio@cgtn.com or follow our X account @CGTN Radio. First of all, a check of the day's headlines. Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Sheikh Khaled bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan is in China for a visit until Tuesday. China highlighted its comprehensive strategic partnership with the United Arab Emirates. China's foreign ministry said bilateral relations have sustained steady and healthy development since the establishment of diplomatic ties 42 years ago. A spokesperson said China hopes to take the visit as an opportunity to jointly pursue new developments in China-UAE ties. The Spanish Prime Minister has noted the importance of partnerships with China in technology during an official visit. Speaking at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, Pedro Sanchez said research institutions from both countries have been working together on projects related to space and agriculture. He said Spain and China will continue to work side by side and advance knowledge for the common good. Mediators are reportedly racing to secure a second round of negotiations between the United States and Iran within days to prevent the collapse of a fragile 2-week ceasefire. It came as U.S. Iran peace talks in Islamabad ended without an agreement. Reports say sticking points include the Strait of Hormuz, Iran's uranium stockpile, and Tehran's demand for the release of $27 billion in frozen revenues. U.S. President Donald Trump said the U.S. Navy will block all ships entering or leaving the Strait of Hormuz. He also ordered ordered the interception of any vessel that's paid a toll to Iran, warning no safe passage for those paying illegal tolls. Iran's Navy warned that any wrong move in the strait would trap enemies in deadly whirlpools. The Iranian parliament speaker said the only way for the United States to find an exit from the current situation is to gain the Iranian nation's trust. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said the U.S. Iran talks in Pakistan were a step towards the de-escalation of the situation. Guo Jiakun said China hopes all parties will follow the temporary ceasefire arrangement and stay committed to political and diplomatic channels in settling disputes. Russia and Ukraine have accused each other of violating an Orthodox Easter ceasefire. Moscow said Ukrainian forces violated the 32-hour truce nearly 2,000 times, launching attacks on Russian troop positions in border regions, injuring civilians. Ukraine reported over 2,200 ceasefire violations by Russia, including airstrikes and shelling of populated areas and troop positions. On Thursday, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced an Orthodox Easter ceasefire with Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kyiv would honor the truce and respond strictly in kind. A Kremlin spokesperson said Russia will continue its military operations unless Zelensky musters the courage to make peace. A similar Easter truce last year also failed, with both sides accusing each other of violations. Algeria's upper house of parliaments adopted a law criminalizing French colonization a month after the lower house passed the same legislation. Officials described the law as a step to preserve national memory and honor sacrifices during the colonial period from 1830 to 1962. The lower house unanimously adopted a draft law in December calling for an official apology from France and affirming Algeria's right to reparations. The final version, approved by both houses, reportedly removed broad reparations clauses and apologies while retaining provisions related to victims of French nuclear tests. Algeria's diplomatic rift with its former colonial power recently deepened over issues such as immigration. Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune has maintained that direct talks with French President Emmanuel Macron are the only path to resolving bilateral issues. Macron acknowledged that the colonization of Algeria was a crime against humanity, but stopped short of offering a formal state of apology. And ports in Guangzhou are handling a surge of passengers and cargo ahead of the opening of the Canton Fair on Wednesday. Since the start of the month, the southern city's ports have averaged more than 29,000 inbound travelers and over 176 inbound flights per day. This year's fair features nearly 76,000 booths and over 32,000 participating enterprises. Over 290 leading global purchasing firms such as Walmart, Tesco, and Carrefour have confirmed their attendance, and that's up 30% from a year ago. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in business, thousands of global brands are showing their wares at the ongoing China International Consumer Products Expo.
The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
37 past the hour. In business now, stock markets on the Chinese mainland closed higher on Monday. The Shanghai Composite was up slightly. The Shenzhen Component gained nearly 0.7%. Glass fiber and component shares were among the top gainers. In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index declined almost 0.9%. Japan's Nikkei lost over 0.7%. Over 3,400 global brands have gathered at the ongoing China International Consumer Products Expo in Haikou. This year's edition in South China is the first international trade event after the official release of China's 15th five-year plan. It's also the first since the Hainan Free Trade Port fully launched island-wide special customs operations. There are 8 major exhibition halls highlighting new trends, including green health and digital smart products. The International Pavilion brings together exhibits from 22 countries and regions. That's a new all-time high. Canada, the guest of honor, brought 40 enterprises. Russia and Bulgaria are establishing national pavilions for the very first time. Shu Hua has more from Haikou.
Right here in Haikou City, the main venue of the expo, I can really feel the excitement. Actually, the city has been heating up since last week. Exhibitors and buyers are pouring and also with lugging their banners and samples, and also hotels and restaurants are buzzing. Actually, this year's expo is especially important. Vice Premier He Lifeng reaffirmed the expo's role as a global platform with 3 benefits: sharing China's market, boosting global recovery, and also providing quality products. And also, for the highlights, and the first one is international brands have reached a new high. More than 3,400 brands from 60 countries and regions are here, and 65% of them are international exhibitors. And that's 20 points higher than last year. And the second one is the number of products debuted hit a record. More than 200 items are launching, including AI-powered glasses and robots and flying cars. So visitors here can have the chance to experience them firsthand. The second one is this year's expo is really green focused. The expo runs on 100% green energy and green electricity, and 80% of the materials can be recycled. And also there is a special event promoting the use of bamboo instead of plastic, showing us the real eco-friendly alternatives. And also, this is not only in Haikou City. There are also two other sub-venues in Boao Town and also in Sanya City.
That was Xu Hua reporting. And for more, Zheng Shi spoke with Zhou Mi, a senior research fellow from the Chinese Academy of International Trade and Economic Cooperation.
How does this year's China International Consumer Products Expo reflect China's commitment to further opening up?
For China, we are trying to share our vast market with friends from other countries. So if you're looking at these promises, I would say that we are giving more platforms for the companies to know about China's consumption, as a consumption is one of the most important tasks for the government of China this year and maybe next years. So I hope that the consumption are really able to provide our partners from all around the world about opportunities to enter into China, but also trying to share, the development in a better and more sustainable way. So I think that consumption, these expos of consumptions are really our start. We can also try to introduce more elements in the cooperation between us.
We're seeing record numbers of participating countries and regions signaling the Expo's global appeal. What opportunities does this create for international brands and multinational companies?
Well, we know that for the 15th five-year plans, we have a really important requirements, that is high quality. So how can we meet the demand of the high quality? In my understanding, first of all, we have to provide the people with better goods and better services. And second, I think that many people really want to have better brands. So the companies who have a better brands, they can come here to establish their fame here in China and also cooperate with the China supply chains. So the higher quality development are really giving us more choices and options for the different suppliers of the goods and the services. They can try to input their own ideas and also trying to address the diversity of the China's consumption market. So Hainan Expo is the start. I think that all of the China's provinces will go to that expo and they will have a better and more resilient supply chains with Hainan and also with the rest of the world. Well, we know that China is an important center for the innovation. So as the President Xi Jinping has mentioned in the two sessions this year, the cooperation between the industrial innovation and also the consumption innovation are really important. So we're not just trying to develop our own styles for the better innovation, but we're also trying to give platforms for the stakeholders to come here together to try to benefit from that. The global supply chain is reconstructing, and we are seeing many elements of the artificial intelligence and other technology are very crucial to benefit the consumer in the different ways. So in this regard, I would say that the new zone is trying to give the people more ideas about how can we do it together, how can we try to understand each other in a better way, and how can we reduce the impacts of the environment and trying to support the consumption and industrial development in a better way.
That was Zhou Mi talking about the China International Consumer Products Expo. China's first intelligent grain leveling robots are freeing workers from arduous tasks while significantly raising efficiency. Designers say it takes 3 people 3 days to level grain in a 1,400 square meter facility, but 3 leveling robots can finish that job within 1 day. Each robot has 2 unique wheels with spiral blades, enabling it to travel at 2 meters per second on grain piles. Even while carrying an adult's weight, it can maintain high-speed movement without sinking into the grain. The robot has a dust-proof surface to prevent short circuits. The intelligent system also features laser radar and sensors installed in the granary to help robots avoid obstacles and collect data for route planning. During collective operations, the system uses intelligent algorithms to plan routes in a unified manner so the robots don't collide. The China Geological Survey has completed its 33rd deep-sea scientific research mission. It brought together 100 researchers from institutions across the country, including Ocean University, Dalian Maritime University, and Zhejiang University. Over a span of 30 days, the mission established an open and shared platform, integrating science and technology, efficiently completing over 10 research tasks across 4 major categories in a single voyage. The trials have strengthened a standardized test platform for domestic deep-sea equipment technology, bridging the last kilometer from research and development to engineering application. Shanghai's Pudong New Area has issued a 3-year action plan for promoting high-quality development of trade and services, setting ambitious goals for growth. The plan sets clear targets, saying the total volume of trade and services in Pudong by 2028 will exceed $140 billion, with digital trade surpassing $70 billion. Last year, the area's total import and export volume of trade and services surpassed $121 billion, up 4.4%, accounting for more than half of Shanghai's total. In recent years, leveraging its strengths in technological innovation and artificial intelligence, the new area has kept promoting integrated development of AI in trade and services, including healthcare services, to expand new frontiers for the sector. In 2025, Pudong was home to more than 1,000 AI enterprises, with the industry's total output reaching nearly 200 billion yuan, or roughly $29 billion, and that was a yearly increase of 11%. The area also had over 100 key enterprises specialized in embodied AI, forming a full industry chain layout. A horticultural event in Beijing has showcased a wide range of easy care, low-maintenance plant varieties and innovative horticultural solutions for home gardening. Exhibitors presented a curated selection of fuss-free plant varieties ideal for balcony growing, requiring minimal time and upkeep to thrive and catering to busy urban home gardeners. Exhibitor Zhou Shiming explains her company's goals.
Our amaryllis breeding work is centered on the cultural needs and preferences of Chinese consumers. Chinese consumers favor varieties with a light fragrance, vibrant red blooms, and strong, easy-to-grow characteristics. We also prioritize varieties that can bloom during the Spring Festival, all of which are the key focus of our breeding efforts.
For home gardeners who struggle to keep their favorite high-maintenance plants thriving, the expo also presented an innovative solution, an advanced new growing medium. It boasts exceptional water retention capacity while maintaining its structural integrity even after absorbing water. The Airports Council International Europe has warned that European airports risk a systemic jet fuel shortage if the Strait of Hormuz does not reopen in the next 3 weeks. In a letter to European commissioners, Director General Olivier Yankovic said that concern is rising as the summer travel season approaches. Yankovic also says a shortage would be severely disruptive with harsh economic impacts for Europe. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in sports, China's hauled in some medals at the Archery World Cup.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
47 past now, turning to sports. Here's Yang Guang.
Thank you, Shane. At the Archery World Cup in Puebla, China claimed 3 gold, 1 silver and 2 bronze medals in the season opener. In the women's recurve team final, Zhu Jingyi, Huang Yuwei and Yu Qi swept their Turkish opponents 6-0. The trio topped the qualification and defeated France and Spain to reach the final. Host Mexico took bronze. China also dominated the women's individual events, with Zhu Jingyi defeating Yu Qi in the final. Zhu secured her 3rd gold by teaming up with Sun Jingxuan to beat the United States 5-1 in the recurve mixed team final. The next stop is in Shanghai from May 5th to 10th. At the Badminton Asia Championships, Chinese player Shi Yuqi won the men's singles title, claiming his first continental crown. The world champion defeated Ayush Shetty of India in straight sets.
My young opponent took down several top players to reach the final, so I cannot afford to take him lightly. I had to be fully focused, 120%. That's why I came in well prepared, and I think I got the job done pretty well.
The women's singles final was a 100-minute battle. After splitting the first two games, both players showed fatigue in the decider. An Se-yeon of South Korea won 21-18, avenging her loss to Wang Zhiyi at All England Open. Now turning to football, Manchester City surged back into the Premier League title race with a 3-0 win at Chelsea, cutting Arsenal's lead to 6 points with the game in hand. Pep Guardiola hailed his players' extraordinary second-half display.
We attacked with Mateus, with Ryan, with Antoine. We were more aggressive, we threat more since the second two and after 0-3. So second half was extraordinary because we have the mindset, because in that stage the mindset is not the tactics.
In other matches, Sunderland defeated Tottenham 1-0, pushing the Spurs into the relegation zone. Nottingham Forest took another point in its battle to avoid relegation with a 1-1 home draw against Aston Villa. Crystal Palace triumphed 2-1 over Newcastle after coming from behind. In the Chinese Super League, Chengdu Rongchen came from behind to defeat Beijing Guoan 2-1, claiming their fourth win in 5 matches. Beijing took the lead in the 63rd minute, but Rongchen equalized in the 84th with a deflected strike. In stoppage time, they completed the comeback with a clinical finish. The win gave Rongchen a 2-point lead at the top, while Guoan remains in 13th, winless in their last 4 matches. Marie-Louise Ita will make history as the first woman to coach a men's Bundesliga club after Union Berlin appointed her for the rest of the season. She replaced Steffen Baumgart, dismissed following a 3-1 loss to bottom-placed Heidenheim. Ita previously coached the Union's U19 team. The club has 32 points from 29 matches, 7 points clear of the relegation playoff spots. Turning to tennis now, Jannik Sinner beat defending champion Carlos Alcaraz in Monte Carlo to win his first Clay Masters title and reclaim the world #1 ranking. Sinner won in straight sets and became the second player after Novak Djokovic in 2015 to win the Sunshine Double and Monte Carlo in the same season.
Very, very happy. Tried to increase my level match after match, which I've done, so I'm very happy about that. And winning my first big title on this surface means also a lot to me. So, yeah, it was an incredible week.
This was Sinner's 4th straight Masters 1000 title and his 8th overall. Zhang Shuai and Sorana Castilla won women's doubles title at Linz, defeating Jessica Malakova and Miriam Scotch 6-3, 6-2. This marks Zhang's 18th career doubles title, while Castilla secured her 7th. Castilla earlier announced that 2026 will be her final year as a pro. And finally, in the NBA, the Denver Nuggets rested all their starters except Nikola Jokic in their 128-118 win over the San Antonio Spurs in the regular season finale. Jokic likely played to reach 65 games for postseason award eligibility, logging just 18 minutes and sitting out the second half. The win secured the Nuggets' number 3 seed in the West, while the Los Angeles Lakers, as the number 4 seed, will face the 5th-seeded Houston Rockets in the first round of the playoffs. The Nuggets will take on the 6th-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round.
All right, thank you very much. That's Yang Guang with sports. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, and coming up in culture and entertainment, China's online literature sector is booming.
From north to south, east to west, people in China are chasing their dreams and leaving their mark. Want to know how they beat the odds and made a difference? Footprints brings you the true life stories of their journeys.
52 past the hour. Turning to culture and entertainment, an industry report shows the revenue of China's online literature market reached over 50 billion yuan, roughly $7.3 billion in 2025. And that marked a 16.6% increase from the previous year. According to the report by Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, the IP adaptation market, which turns online literature into movies and shows, grew by 23% to nearly 367 billion yuan. The report highlights that online literature is becoming a major cultural force, driving creativity and innovation while serving as a key content source for China's entertainment industry. In southwest China, one of the year's most highly anticipated celebrations is drawing large crowds. Yang Jinghao has more from Ray Li.
It could be one of the wildest carnivals in the world, as bursts of laughter and screams fill the air, with water flying in every direction. Staying dry is simply not an option. This is the Water Splashing Festival, celebrated by the Dai ethnic group in southwest China's Yunnan province. The festival dates back more than 2,000 years, yet its traditions remain alive today. From gathering fresh flowers to decorating ceremonial structures and the sacred ritual of collecting holy water, each step reflects deep-rooted cultural heritage.
The Water Splashing Festival is also known as the Bathing Buddha Festival. Each year, we perform rituals and collect sacred water from the Mother River to bathe the Buddha. After the ceremony, people begin to sprinkle water on each other to share blessings.
Over time, the festival has grown into a grand public celebration, attracting visitors from across the country, all eager to join the splash and share the joy.
It's so fun. I'm really enjoying it. I'm definitely coming back again next year. I've never experienced this kind of ethnic culture before, and it's amazing.
The festival also draws participants from some Southeast Asian countries, where it is widely known as Songkran.
Back in Thailand, elders traditionally pour water over your hands using a small cup. But here, people pick flowers and sprinkle water onto each other's shoulders. Despite the differences, I feel China and Thailand share the same heart.
With its rich natural beauty and ethnic diversity, Yunnan is turning traditional festivals like this into powerful engines for tourism growth. Government data shows that in 2025, the province recorded over 780 million tourist visits, generating more than $160 billion in tourism revenue, both posting double-digit growth year-on-year.
We plan to integrate a wider range of cultural elements into festivals like this, from intangible heritage and music events to local food and Rueli's coffee, making the experience richer and attracting more visitors.
When the splashing slows down, the city is left soaked, not just in water, but in a shared moment few are ready to forget.
That was Yang Jinghao reporting. An ongoing exhibition at a chocolate museum has become a new sweet landmark in Beijing. The museum near Qianmen Commercial Street combines chocolate with Beijing's rich culture. Around 50 tons of chocolate were used to craft major exhibits, including a Chinese dragon, traditional roof ridges, and Beijing's central axis. Smaller creations feature a chocolate replica of the Ming Dynasty's 9-dragon and 9-phoenix crown. Singapore's Art Science Museum is celebrating its 15th anniversary with Flesh and Bones, an exhibition exploring the human body across culture and history. Running from August 16th, the exhibition showcases over 160 artifacts, from early anatomical drawings to immersive installations. It blends Eastern and Western perspectives, with notable highlights including a gallery on traditional Chinese medicine. And organizers have hosted a concert celebrating ancient folk music and instruments in Shanghai's He Luting Concert Hall. The event was part of the 41st Shanghai Spring International Music Festival. The performance featured a replica of a bronze now, a rare artifact from the Changsha Museum, believed to be over 3,000 years old. We're at 57 past now. Beijing will see a light rainfall overnight. It's down to 9 degrees. Tuesday is cloudy and 21. Shanghai is getting some rain tonight and tomorrow, a low 14, a high of 19. Chongqing will see moderate rainfall, 18 tonight, a light rain, and 23 tomorrow. Nanchang's getting thunder showers overnight and through tomorrow, a low of 18, a high of 22. Lasa's overcast overnight and tomorrow, a low of +3, a high of 18. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad's getting cloudy skies and a low of 15, a high of 29 on Tuesday. That's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news today, China's called the U.S. Iran negotiations in Pakistan a step toward de-escalation and calls for the continuation of the ceasefire. The visiting Spanish Prime Minister has highlighted the value of research and innovation during his stop at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing. On behalf of the staff, Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
Find the Beijing Beijing Hour at precisely 6 p.m. Beijing time. We meet you on podcast and on air every weekday. The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
He can't live without the Yellow River in his eyes.
The Yellow River is so noble and elegant.
Both my grandpa and dad made a living from the river.
Would you like to move away from the Yellow River?
I don't think I will. I love it so much.
The Yellow River, the second longest river in China, is regarded as a shaping force in the history, economy and culture of northern China. Today, about 100 million people live within its water basin, making up nearly 9% of the country's population. How is climate change felt at its headwaters, and what are the locals doing to cope with it? What are the descendants of the boatmen doing? What has kept some people from leaving their home village by the river, and what has drawn others back? Could the fading fishing community revive in a time of digital transformation? From 2021 to 2024, our reporters visited the upper, middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, talked to the herders, farmers, boatmen, fishermen and eco-activists who share a close bond with the river, and present their stories in pictures, podcasts and videos, all in our 12-part series, The Yellow River Mosaic, available only on CGTN Radio